Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back for another episode of Portal 2. Portal 2 in 2015.
While making Portal 2, we explored our way through vast quantities of reference
Developers
material.
commentary.
Inspirations included photos of NASA's Apollo and Shuttle programs, CERN's particle accelerators, both modern and obsolete, industrial robots, derelict Soviet space shuttles, overgrown temples, Brussels metro stations, seedy American motels, junkyards filled with rocketry equipment, Chinese apartment blocks under construction, Polish shipyards, neutrino detectors deep underground in nickel mines, corporate headquarters from a variety of eras, commercial nuclear reactors, experimental fusion reactors, rain-sodden book depositories in Detroit, peculiar cameras, forgotten space probes, you name it.
Yeah, that's a lot of reference material. They certainly did have pretty varied design going on in this game. I mean, we certainly got way more area and element design in the Portal 2 than Portal 1. Portal 1, pretty consistent. Here's another point where you could really get stuck. I guess they give you two different places as long as you look up, but it is incredibly difficult to convince a player to look up. This is an even easier place than the way I did it before. Then you have these two platforms that really don't do anything.
The size of the gigantic transition seal lock was a happy accident. We knew the connection between the old aperture and the new aperture had to be a big set piece. The first model built was about 5 times bigger than everyone expected, but people started to like it. We joked that it should be a bullet point on the Portal 2 box. Features the biggest door in games ever! We decided it would be fun to play with the player's expectations, and put a puny-looking door behind it, along with a few small props.
Gate's closed. You can't get any closer than this to this giant door. How'd I fall down here? Cave Johnson is a great inclusion of Portal 2 because it just goes to show you the personality, the reason why everything in this dumb facility is so really unscientific, ridiculous, unprogressive, and then somehow they lucked into the portal.
The lake map marks a total reset to the aesthetics and scale of the environments up to this point in the game. You come into the underground cave compressed, and as you progress further into the map, your eye is drawn upwards by the elevator tower, sparking cables, falling debris, and finally the test spheres which recede vertically into nothingness. This looking upwards gives the player a sense of the vastness of Aperture before GLaDOS, and a visual sense of the daunting climb they will have to make to get back to Wheatley. The open areas encourage the player to explore their surroundings and take a break from the intensive puzzle solving of the test chambers.
Are there any other commentaries over
astronauts, war heroes, Olympians, you're here because we want the best. And you are it. So, who is ready to make some science?
I am.
Now, you already met one another on the limo ride over, so let me introduce myself. I'm Cave Johnson. I own the place. That eager voice you heard is the lovely Carolyn, my assistant. Rest assured, she has transferred your honorarium to the charitable organization of your choice.
Honorarium.
That's right, Carolyn.
That's
Yes,
basically
sir, Mr. Johnson.
She's the
they're
backbone of this
paying
facility.
money to
Raise a postcard,
a
too.
charity.
Sorry, fellas. She's married. To science.
It feels like this could be the beginning of a prequel game right in here. Just a prequel game to Portal 2. They could have ended the whole story at Wheatley, but no.
This chapter gave us a great opportunity for visually telling the backstory of Aperture Science. We accomplished this with signs, props, and materials. In this area, we get a glimpse of what Aperture Science must have been like in its heyday. We used rich, warm colors and materials like carpeting and marble to indicate that Aperture had a lot of money at one time. Cave Johnson and his staff were just starting out in their enterprise, and everyone was eager to do science. This stands in contrast to the stark, cavernous environment outside and the materials you see in Aperture Lab from later decades. As the player makes their way through more recent areas of the lab, the materials become cheaper, with an abundance of plastic and linoleum showing that Aperture had fallen on harder times and could no longer build high-quality offices for its workers.
So here we are, is telling some of the background stories. So it was originally Aperture Fixtures, and Cave Johnson was the shower curtain salesman in 43. Now, he made some money in 1944, is that what that says? I can't even read it. And buys the salt mine. And then, let's see, he's top 100, number 2 in 49. Then 47 is the newest, best new one. So 47 is probably when it started. So between 43 and 47 is when Aperture Fixtures somehow became owned by Cave Johnson and turned into Aperture Science. And according to the YouTube video I saw, they got a government contract and used these guys that he's talking about, these scientists and astronauts and the best of the best, for the first run of tests. And then they all disappeared. Assumedly got murdered by him in the process of testing. Nothing being said right here, just a slow rise. It looks like there are tunnels or chutes, I would call them, in which the test spheres go up and down the facility. And so in each chute, well, that's what happens when you fall in the mud. So apparently any liquid will kill you, or any gross enough liquid. I would not mind in Portal 3 if you were forced really early to jump in some clear, clean water and you could swim. That would be cool. Underwater physics. I have said that water physics with the portal gun would be cool. It kind of gets beaten at the end of the defeated the concept at the end of this game because the water sprinklers wash off all the moon dust.
Astronauts, War heroes, Olympians, you're here because we want the best. And you are it. So, who is ready to make some science?
I am.
Now, you already met one another on the limo ride over, so let me introduce myself. I'm Cave Johnson. I own the place. That eager voice you heard is the lovely Carolyn, my assistant. Rest assured, she has transferred your honorarium to the charitable organization of your choice. Isn't that right, Carolyn?
Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson.
She's the backbone of this facility. Pretty as a postcard test performed every day here in our Richmond Sphere Science. I can't personally oversee every one of them, so these pre-recorded messages will cover any questions
now I've
you
got
might
two
have
of them
and respond to
overlapping.
any incidents that may occur in the course of your science adventure. Your test assignment will vary depending on the manner in which you have bent the world to your will. Those of you helping us test the repulsion gel today, just follow the blue line on the floor. Those of you who volunteered to be injected with praying mantis DNA, I've got some good news and some bad news. Bad news is we're postponing those tests indefinitely. Good news is we've got a much better test for you, fighting an army of mantis men. Pick up a rifle and follow the yellow line. You'll know when the test starts.
Let's try this again without dying. Let's see. Now I think there was more to this than where we're at. Oh yeah. There's more to this. Never did get the figure out how to get to that room. Maybe when we get to it again, I'll try some new stuff if I can think of some new stuff. Where's the exit? Where's the exit? Let's try this.
They say great science is built on the shoulders of giants. Not here. At Aperture, we do all our science from scratch. No hand-holding.
So if they invented the portal gun as their first major success, and that should have gotten them just ridiculous amounts of money, but I don't think they probably ever sold the portal gun to anybody. I think they just kept testing with it and never got anywhere with it.
All right, let's get started. This first test involves something the lab boys call repulsion gel.
So,
you're not part of the control group, by the
assumedly
way.
there's a
You get the
chute
gel.
for
Last poor son of a gun got blue
at
paint.
least 9 chutes.
All joking aside, that did happen.
And
Broke every bone in his legs.
thought
Tragic, but
that
informative.
this was going to
Or
be
so
the
I'm told.
new like puzzle number thing, but they don't keep this. They use it once, and then I guess it's broken in all the other facilities.
Similar to the way the student game Narbacular Jop became the original Portal, the paint mechanics in Portal 2 come from a student game tagged The Power of Paint. The repulsion gel in Portal 2 is modeled after the bounce paint from Tag, but was redesigned to fit better within Portal. The original bounce paint always bounced the player at a fixed height and activated whenever the player touched the paint. We changed the repulsion gel to reflect the player's velocity such that they will bounce back up to the height that they fell from. This mechanic lends itself better to puzzles involving portals because players have to think about gaining and preserving height. We also changed the repulsion gel to only activate if the player jumps off of or falls onto the gel. This was done because players would often accidentally walk onto a repulsion gel that they didn't see and then trigger an unwanted bounce. This was a particularly nasty problem in Portal 2 because the player couldn't get rid of paint once it was applied, whereas in Tag the player can erase paint at any time they want.
Tag the Power of the Paint is the name of that student game. Okay, where do we place this? Over here? Alright. So it is almost a sad statement that there wasn't any other student projects from Digipen, at least yet in 2015, early 2015, that was enough or interesting enough or creative enough.
For this next test, we put nanoparticles in the gel. In layman's terms, that's a billion little gizmos that are going to travel into your bloodstream and pump experimental genes and RNA molecules and so forth into your tumors.
The economy has sucked
Now,
for
maybe you don't
video
have any
games
tumors.
and
Well, don't
everybody
worry.
else.
If you sat on a folding chair in the lobby and weren't wearing lead underpants, we took care of that too.
So this forces you to walk on the paint and jump from it. That way you realize that jumping when you're walking on the paint does give you more height than just jumping normally. Of course, that's an inconsistency in the physics between you and every other object.
We had to come up with old-looking versions for all the important gameplay props, such as button panels, doors, cubes, basically everything the player could interact with. We came up with this fictional character, Janitor Bob. He'd be the guy who had to maintain all of old Aperture. A guy who doesn't understand anything about science, but can fix everything with duct tape and a screwdriver. He would use everything he could get his hands on. The result might not look pretty, but it would work. So whenever we got stuck designing props for Chapter 3, we'd ask ourselves, well, how would Bob build it?
This is cool, but it's, I guess, the only time that really we should have done a wall bounce back and forth, because this is pretty annoying to do a wall bounce. It's a cool concept. They played with it once, and I assume that was enough for me. If we had to do this to actually accomplish any more puzzles, it would just be pretty frustrating.
Oh, in case you got covered in that repulsion gel, here's some advice the lab boys gave me. Do not get covered in the repulsion gel. We haven't entirely nailed down what element it is yet, but I'll tell you this, it's a lively one, and it does not like the human skeleton. All these science spheres are made of asbestos, by the way. Keeps out the rats. Let us know if you feel a shortness of breath, a persistent dry cough, or your heart stopping, because that's not part of the test. That's asbestos. Good news is the lab boys say the symptoms of asbestos poisoning show a median latency of 44.6 years. So if you're 30 or older, you're laughing. Worst case scenario, you miss out on a few rounds of canasta. Plus, you forwarded the cause of science by 3 centuries. I punch those numbers into my calculator, it makes a happy face.
So, potentially I am infected with, or Chell is infected with asbestos now. I'm going to die in 30 to 40 years. Another white surface that looks like, I mean, I can see when I zoom in why it's not a portal, why I can't put a portal on it, but it's just too light in color. Is the problem. It's just too light in color.
I like your style. You make up your own rules, just like me. Bean Counter said I couldn't fire a man just for being in a wheelchair. Did it anyway. Ramps are expensive.
While re-implementing the paint mechanics from our student game Tag the Power of Paint, in the context of Portal 2, the biggest change we made was to exclude the paint gun. In Tag, our paint gun allowed the player to paint the environment freely in an abstract outdoor environment, but in our gameplay experiments, that was very difficult to constrain without contrivance in Portal 2's indoor spaces. It also changed the game's pacing significantly, since being able to run at high speed around a level covering everything in paint is a lot more fast-paced, energetic, and often scattershot than Portal's more cerebral gameplay. Perhaps most importantly, there is a certain elegance in the simplicity of manipulating all the game elements, using only the portal gun. Adding a new gun would inherently add complexity, and force us to start from square one training the player how to use this new tool instead of focusing on the game's namesake. Instead, we decided to use the established mechanism of the delivery tubes, and have players redirect the flow of the paint with their portal guns. This felt like a good compromise.
Notice also Cave Jansen here reacted. He said he liked your tenacity when you broke your way into this puzzle. How would he know that I broke into the puzzle? Obviously there's some kind of sensors going on here, but they seem to be more intricate sensors than just ones that motion detectors. Because he certainly seems to know that you cheated your way into this puzzle. One more time. Whether or not a tube is going to open permanently or temporarily is another issue that's never really indicated. Some tubes open permanently and you get a constant stream of paint and boxes and all that, or whatever it's shooting
Just a
out.
heads up, that coffee we gave you earlier had fluorescent calcium in it so we can track the neuronal activity in your brain. There's a slight chance the calcium could harden and vitrify your frontal lobe. Anyway, don't stress yourself thinking about it. I'm serious. Visualizing the scenario while under stress actually triggers the reaction.
So there is a fizzler at the end of this puzzle, just not at the beginning. Seems like somebody got a little sloppy, or they were just using every single bit of RAM to make the levels.
Now, if you're part of control group Kepler 7, we implanted a tiny microchip about the size of a postcard into your skull. Most likely you've forgotten it's even there. But if it starts vibrating and beeping during this next test, let us know. Because that means it's about to hit 500 degrees, so we're going to need to go ahead and get that out of you pretty fast. Telling them, keep your pants on. All right, this next test may involve trace amounts of time travel. So, word of advice, if you meet yourself on the testing track, don't make eye contact. Lab boys tell me that'll wipe out time. Entirely. Forward and backward. So, do both of yourselves a favor and just let that handsome devil go about his business.
So, here's a joke that could really pay off in a fictional Portal 3, if Portal 3 ever came about. Break into the lab, work your way down to this test, use the time travel to go back into the past to send a distress call to so Gordon Freeman and people of Gordon Freeman's time can rescue Chell before she is woken up in Portal 1 at the very beginning. Also, when you go back and do that, you go back to the past and replace what has to be a child Chell with the adult version of Chell that is here, because it makes no sense otherwise. Chell in the past should be, as a child, cryostasis, stuck in cryostasis, and she should not age in cryostasis. There's no reason for that. At all. With no logical reason in my mind. So, this would really pay off. I'm practically writing an awesome story, at least in my mind, of what should happen in Portal 3. So they've already got the story written. All they need to do now is implement gameplay, put in some puzzles. The story is kind of like Bayonetta 1. A game I would like to do a series about, but unless it comes to PC, I don't see how I could or would. And I'm certainly not going to do Bayonetta 2 until Nintendo's policy on what games can be covered and who gets money for reviewing their games, because they want money for reviewing their games right now, which is ridiculous. Well, I suppose Nintendo may just be the publisher of Bayonetta 2, so it is possible that Sega, the creators, could release a PC version at some future point. And I'm holding out hope that they do release like a PC version of it. That would be cool. Alright, so where am I going? This elevator we got on, we're trying to work our way up. Oh. Getting the player to look up is a nightmare. That's why
you're
the
hearing
first
this,
game
it means you're taking a long time on the catwalks between tests. The lab boys say that might be a fear reaction. I'm no psychiatrist, but coming from a bunch of eggheads who wouldn't recognize the thrill of danger if it walked up and snapped their little pink bras, that sounds like projection. They didn't fly into space, storm a beach, or bring back the gold. No, sir, we did. It's you and me against the world, son. I like your grit. Hustle could use some work, though. Now let's solve this thing.
As far as we know, Cave Johnson didn't do any of those things either. Sounds like that was pretty much always going to be said, regardless of how fast you go.
One of the things that the student game Tag the Power of Paint didn't allow was painting of other objects, since this would have been too trivial in that game. In Portal 2, however, moving paint around became a puzzle in and of itself, so we began to create puzzles that depended on painting objects. Bouncy boxes and turrets were an obvious choice, and adding this mechanic extended our toolbox to include objects whose basic properties of movement could be changed by the player.
When I played Portal 2, I think I played it on Xbox 360, and this scene actually on the Xbox 360 did hitch up the system, because there's just a lot of speed action going on in that area. So now I need to paint that again.
Science isn't about why, it's about why not. Why is so much of our science dangerous? Why not Mary save science if you love it so much? In fact, why not invent a special safety door that won't hit you on the butt on the way out because you are fired? Now you test subject, you're doing fine. Yes, you, box your stuff out the front door, parking lot, car, goodbye.
And that's why Aperture Science is so crazy. It's Cave Johnson. A little bit of competing thought as far as whether or not Cave Johnson is part of GLaDOS's intelligence.
Congratulations! The simple fact that you're standing here listening to me means you've made a glorious contribution to science. As founder and CEO of Aperture Science...
The newer and older versions of Aperture show their distinct personalities in sound as well as visuals. The doors, floors, and buttons, as well as soundscapes, reflect the aging, outdated 70s feel. The sounds contain hints of the decaying metal and wood. The newer but unstable Wheatley Chamber soundscapes become more foreboding and perilous the further you venture into them. The atmosphere of uncontrolled destruction continues to intensify till the end.
So we have 1971 now, so 20-30 years later. Pump Station Beta. So in theory, should be able to do this and walk right back out. Well, I guess I can. Let's see. Let's see, I want to shoot myself an orange portal down here. Now what kind of portal am I going to shoot? Another orange portal? Yeah, orange portal over here. I think it was a bit of a mistake, although it does make it cleaner to not have a little circle indicating which portal was the last one you shot. But that did kind of help a little bit. For them to change the setup a little bit there. They could have just changed the crosshair in the middle slightly. See, as soon as you put a blue portal...
Greetings, friend. I'm Cave Johnson, CEO of Aperture Science. You might know us as a vital participant in the 1968 Senate hearings on missing astronauts. And you've most likely used one of the many products we invented, but that other people have somehow managed to steal from us. Black Mesa can eat my bankrupt...
Sir, the testing?
Right. Now you might be asking yourself, Cave, just how difficult are these tests? What was in that phone book of a contract I signed? Am I in danger? Let me answer those questions with a question. Who wants to make $60 cash? You can also feel free to relax for up to 20 minutes in the waiting room, which is a damn sight more comfortable than the park benches most of you were sleeping on when we found you. So, welcome to Aperture. You're here because we want the best, and you're it. Nope. Couldn't keep a straight face. Anyway, don't smudge up the glass down there. In fact, why don't you just go ahead and not touch anything unless it's test related?
So, that would be my guess as to the one room that's not actually physically possible of existing. It's not possible that it actually exists. But it could have been any room. So we'll have to see if, as we move, if there's anything to the left, but it'll be hard to do that because we're just going to be going up and up. So I want to get over here to the controller. Bone that up. I think I did that the first time too. Yay for consistency. At least I'm consistently bad. It really does look like you should put it on that side though. So we sat here and we listened to GLaDOS asking for help the whole time.
Could you murder this bird for me? Oh, thanks.
The character of Potatoes was actually the hardest one to crack for us, and was the last character to get recorded. We'd always wanted to switch things up for the sequel, so that GLaDOS would become your unwilling buddy cop partner against a new threat. But this ended up being far more entertaining as a concept than an execution. It's one thing to have an omnipotent villain chastising you while you're testing, it's quite another to have a little potato on your gun doing the same. Playtesters wanted to tear her off the gun, and we didn't blame them. So we were faced with the unsettling prospect of making dry, robotic supervillain GLaDOS more human and relatable. This ended up being one of the hardest writing jobs in the game.
You stabbed me. What is wrong with you? Hold on. Do you have a multimeter? Never mind. The gun must be part magnesium. It feels like I'm outputting an extra half a volt. Keep an eye on me. I'm going to do some scheming. Here I go. Whoa, where are we? How long have I been out? That extra half volt helps, but it isn't going to power miracles. If I think too hard, I'm going to fry this potato before we get a chance to burn up in the atomic fireball that little idiot is going to...
The gun must be part magnesium. So they really didn't make it clear that it was really Caroline talking to you until you stabbed the potato. And then it's back to a part Caroline, part GLaDOS. Let's just keep going for another
The testing area is just up ahead. The quicker you get through, the quicker you'll get your $60.
The character of Carolyn came about because we wanted somebody for Cave to play off of. Though we had originally envisioned a put-upon scientist character called Greg, it would have been wasteful to hire an actor for just 1 or 2 lines. Instead, we hit upon the idea of economizing by using GLaDOS actor Ellen McLean. Out of nowhere, we suddenly had an opportunity for a GLaDOS origin story.
Why is this not working? Okay, so that's not working. Let's go over here. you have to not die and do this in a pretty unique order. If you go out of order.
Did anything happen while I was out?
The testing area is just up ahead. The quicker you get through, the quicker you'll get your $60.
Hold on.
Carolyn, are the compensation vouchers ready?
Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson. Why did I just... Who is that? What the hell is going on here?
Move just the blue one. Do this and then work our way back that way. This is pretty cool. I mean, they wanted to have a jump sequence that wasn't just yet again flinging yourself with a portal gun. Pretty scripted. It didn't feel like I was going fast enough to make that. Alright. So there we have that. Put the blue one here. Even the speed of the acceleration gel feels pretty slow compared to some of the terminal velocity of just making a portal loop, which they totally kind of take that
I
out.
guess emotional outbursts require more than 1.6 volts. Now we know that. We just need to relax. We're still going to find out what the hell's going on here, but calmly.
No real explanation about this one. If you see an orange jumpsuit, hit the red button. Not really got an explanation.
Those people in the portrait, they look so familiar.
So, in a lot of ways, Carolyn and Cave Johnson are the parents of GLaDOS. Are they the parents of Chell? Probably not. I mean, that doesn't really make the greatest storyline thing. If that sounds like something that if there was a Portal 3, GLaDOS would tease Chell about and say, oh, it turns out I'm your mother, and I was the one who abandoned you, and all that. Just, it sounds more like something that would be funny for her to pretend and make fun of her about, more than something that I'd want to see actually true. Alright, let's see. We want some orange paint here. Nope. Let's try over here. Again, problem with the paint is it paints whatever surface you're on. So if it is a surface you can put portals on, you can't see it anymore. It does not, however, change whether you can place a portal or not, unless you're talking about the white gel paint. So then they go and change the rules a little bit that way too. that there, put that here. It feels like you might be able to get over there, but I don't see any way you could. Let's go ahead and take that as the exit. A little splat sound there. I can see people getting stuck on this puzzle. See myself getting stuck on this puzzle. Let's see, so I want to put a blue portal here to get to here, and then put a blue portal here to get to there. And I gotta keep the orange portal in its space. Now put the blue portal right back where it's supposed to be.
Great job, astronaut, war hero, and/or Olympian.
Barely
With your
made
help,
that.
we're gonna change the world. This on? Hey, listen up down there. That thing's called an elevator, not a bathroom.
I swear I know him.
So maybe it's just Caroline that's in GLaDOS, maybe it was Cave Johnson and Caroline. That would certainly explain the insanity of two people who are probably both crazy, but in different ways, were put through this puzzle. All the elevators on the start in this section seems to not have a fizzler.
If you're interested in an additional
$60,
$60, flag down a test associate and let them know. You could walk out of here with 120 weighing down your bindle if you let us take
Propulsion gel carried over almost exactly the same as the speed paint in the student game, Tag the Power of Paint, except that it is slightly more than twice as fast. Propulsion gel combined well with the existing mechanics of Portal, such as flinging, and it also went well with the repulsion gel for long jumps. We had to tweak the player's control on propulsion gel to feel right in the Portal universe, and also added a slight funneling effect to help guide the player when they're speeding into a portal.
Notice too the propulsion gel here. I don't think it's was painting the surface. So let's see. I want this. And give me trouble. Alright, so right here needs a little bit of bouncy bounce right there. There's a sentence I never thought I'd ever say. It needs a little bit of bouncy bounce. I probably said that before, actually. And sometimes I can make myself sound really dumb. Maybe my YouTube channel will just be this shrine of stupidity. Get over here. Let's see. This. And some more acceleration gel. To paint this. Good. And then I want this. And this, and so hopefully this, I think this is the solution. Looks like the solution.
In case you're interested, there's still some positions available for that bonus opportunity I mentioned earlier. Again, all you gotta do is let us disassemble you. We're not banging rocks together here. We know how to put a man back together. So that's a complete reassembly. New vitals, spit shine on the old ones, plus we're scooping out tumors. Frankly, you ought to be paying us. Thank you. I can't believe I'm thanking these people. For staggering your way through Aperture Science's propulsion gel testing, you've made some real contributions to society for a change, and for that, humanity is grateful. If you had any belongings, please pick them up now. We don't want old newspapers and sticks cluttering up the building. For many of you, I realize $60 is an unprecedented windfall, so don't go spending it all on, I don't know, Carolyn, what do these people buy? Tattered hats? Beer? Dirt?
Notice earlier when there was garbage in the tubes, one of the garbage pieces was a chair. Cannot pick up a chair now. Could pick up the chair before. Interesting. Interesting inconsistency. I am so nitpicky. But maybe I'm on the spectrum a little bit too. Just does not handle change.
Carolyn, why do I know this woman? Did I kill her? Or... Oh my god. Look, you're doing a great job. Can you handle things for yourself for a while? I need to think.
Pretty much the only point we see the pistons reused in the game. There's just so much stuff added in this game. There was elements not even from the first game. So that's fine. That just means they can come back and bring those elements right back in Portal 3. I don't recall ever getting to this platform. I guess this was how you were supposed to get over there. You must have done it some other way. I really don't recall ever doing it this way. Well, that'll give me certainly a different area to look at. This is that room I was so obsessed with that. And there's like a secret area under this part. That's the door we got through. And then there's a secret area down here. You have this whole section. It shows a door. This door does not... It can't be connected to anything. Oh, maybe this is where we walked through at the beginning and it's just... Yeah, I bet this is where we started the puzzle at. And it's just from such a different perspective I don't even recognize it. Knew I shouldn't have done that. The bird thing is a joke that's not really paid off.
Thank you. I can't believe I'm thanking these people. for staggering your way through Aperture Science's propulsion gel testing. You've made some real contributions to society for a change, and for that, humanity is grateful. If you had any belongings, please pick them up now. We don't want old newspapers and sticks cluttering up the building. For many of you, I realize $60 is an unprecedented windfall, so don't go spending it all on, I don't know, Carolyn, what do these people buy? Tattered hats? Beard dirt?
Only the finest beard dirt. So yes, this is the area.
Do I know this woman? Did I kill her? Or... Oh my god. Look, you're doing a great job. Can you handle things for yourself for a while? I need to think.
I will give Portal 2 the point, as it were, for actually implementing a point in the game where you can be crushed by pistons. Because in Portal 1, you actually can't be crushed by piston in one part. I guess you can in other parts.
It's evil. It flew off. Good for him. Alright, back to thinking.
Let's not do that.
Welcome to the Enrichment Center. Since making test participation mandatory for all employees, the quality of our test subjects has risen dramatically. Employee retention, however, has not. As a result, you may have heard we're going to phase out human testing. There's still a few things left to wrap up, though. The bean counters told me we literally could not afford to buy $7 worth of moon rocks, much less 70 million. Bought them anyway, ground them up, mixed them into a gel. And guess what? Ground up moon rocks are pure poison. I am deathly ill. Still, it turns out they're a great portal conductor. So now, we're going to see if jumping in and out of these new portals can somehow leach the lunar poison out of a man's bloodstream. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Let's all stay positive and do some science. That said, I would really appreciate it if you could test as fast as possible. Carolyn, please bring me more pain pills.
This is the first folding chairs we've seen. So, don't sit on these, they'll give you tumors. So they were going to phase out human testing and do what instead? Do real testing and real science? So this was the one place where they screwed up. They had no fizzler on this elevator for some reason.
Portal paint was the last paint we added to the game, and for a long time we weren't sure of the best way to use it. We experimented with the delivery method and found that it was most effective when it was deployed in large quantities. Another important factor was the angle of application. Dropping the paint at an angle allowed the player to play more freely with the paint, which gave them the liberating feeling of breaking the rules by being able to place portals where they couldn't before.
The first implementation of the blob was integrated in the source engine back in 2007. Over the years, the code has been significantly optimized, but was still way too slow to run on game consoles. The blob was a key feature of Portal 2, even though we didn't know if we could make it work for consoles. In summer 2010, we were still considering using competitive front tech for consoles, one that would certainly not look as nice. On the 360, even with a very low quality blob, we were barely within a performance budget. But we really wanted to have the same high quality blob among all platforms. Meanwhile, the code was poorly suited for PS3 SPU. We ended up rewriting all the blob code, so it will take better advantage of multiple cores on SPUs, giving us quality blobs on all platforms while staying within performance and memory constraints.
So, I don't know if you could understand a word that guy just said that was a pretty thick accent. No offense intended, but yeah, it was pretty thick. He was talking about making these blobs, I think, and how they really didn't work that well on the PSP, which, did they ever come out with Portal 2 on the PSP? I doubt it. That seems a little reaching that you'd be able to get the PSP. Maybe he meant the PlayStation. PlayStation 3, yeah, he probably meant that. And I misheard him. And the Xbox 360. And they did successfully get these things running. So there's no claiming that they didn't run on the PlayStation 3 and they didn't run on the Xbox 360. They ran without any real major hiccups to the to the system. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that it was running probably as good as even my setup right now is running. I think my graphics are probably turned up a lot higher than what they would have been, what you would have gotten. Still didn't get it high enough. Actually, I probably am high enough, but just jumped down from where I am. But that's not the whole part of the puzzle. Real difficult puzzle here if you don't figure out what they're aiming at. What they're trying to get you to do. Painting just such massive amounts of this area. And that's why this one section has literally no other elements. It's just paint with the portal paint. Because you could do so much trickery if you put some more elements. Plus, they probably took all their processes. They probably, well, I mean, it's not even a probably. The guy just sat there and told us that it did. Let's try this a different way. Put that portal there, and we'll come back and jump from this edge because we're more likely to hit that. That works?
Alright, I've been thinking. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad! I don't want your damn lemons! What am I supposed to do with these? Demand to see life's manager. Make life rue the day it thought it could give Cave Johnson lemons. Do you know who I am? I'm the man who's gonna burn your house down with the lemons. I'm gonna get my engineers to invent a combustible lemon that burns your house down.
Burning people. He says what we're all thinking.
The point is, if we can store music on a compact disc, why can't we store a man's intelligence and personality on one? So I have the engineers figuring that out now. Brain mapping, artificial intelligence. We should have been working on it 30 years ago. I will say this, and I'm gonna say it on tape so everybody hears it 100 times a day. If I die before you people can pour me into a computer, I want Carolyn to run this place. Now she'll argue. She'll say she can't. She's modest like that, but you make her. Hell, put her in my computer. I don't care. All right, test's over. You can head on back to your desk.
Goodbye, sir.
So 1982, assuming that these are years. Aperture Laboratories now. They changed the name. Probably with his death. Let's get up that high to begin with. How few portals does it take to get to the top of this? Okay, let's see, that there, and that there. So I want a nice orange portal. And the other side here, missed. Now I want a nice blue portal somewhere here. Yep, almost had it. Got it. We're done. Lots more opportunities to work our way up there. Lots more surfaces I could have put a portal on, but you didn't really need to. I like it when they make puzzles with multiple solutions. It only makes it easier. Having puzzles with only one solution.
That crazy man down there was right. Let's not take these lemons. We are going to march right back upstairs and make him put me back in my body. And he'll probably kill us because he's incredibly powerful and I have no plan. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. The odds are 1,000,000 to 1 and that's with some generous rounding. Still though, let's get mad. If we're going to explode, let's at least explode with some dignity.
So we got a portal here, and then how the what? What's the point of getting up there? All right, let's try this. Let's go over here. So there's a portal, and there's a portal. Alright, good. Excellent. So if I need the blue stuff. Good. There's the blue stuff. Let's see, is he gonna shoot right there? How far the gel paint flies seems to be very different based on what part of the story you're in. Seems very inconsistent. guess I can jump down and see what this does. That works. So now I'm up here, good. This game's long enough that I cannot, from beginning to end, memorize the entire story. So even though I just played this game literally yesterday, there's still parts that I'm a little fuzzy about what I'm supposed to do. This is really a game
with
where
the gel
I
sounds for
could
Portal 2, we wanted to create something whimsical that would add to the player's enjoyment of the mechanics, without crossing over the line into ludicrousness. For example, our initial pass at the blue gel bounce sound included a rubber playground ball, a pitch-bent harp string, and a processed mouth harp. The resulting sound captured the idea of fun, but was off the charts on the goofy scale. After several iterations, we settled on the current, less over-the-top sound, which features a piece of metal bar bouncing like a diving board, and a heavy dose of synthesis. It's not as wacky, but hopefully, it's still fun.
This is interesting to point out, is that when they put a rebar grate in front of a portable surface you put on it has to not be far enough that I could like crouch down and somehow actually get through. Now, for all of that, what am I doing? I could go jump down the thing again. Okay, I think I got it. Paint all that with white stuff. Let's stick one here. And stick one here. And then stick one here. Notice again, it is designed to eventually get rid of all the the particles. So the blue is not really helping. What if I put it here? Nope, not really helping there either. Well, this plays a little bit of help. Okay, I figured it out. I just did this game and Alright, so try this one more time. Darn it, I would have made that. Me and my itchy trigger finger. Right. So now I need a little bit of white paint. Down here, good, there it is. Paint that. I'll put that there. And then down on this point. So I've got that bounce location painted. Man, it really does feel like they merged two games. And that's a bit of an accomplishment. To successfully merge two very separate game concepts into one. Find this secret area back here. It's not, you have to find it to continue the game. And then use this little bit of technology to work our way out. I like the speed up concept too. It's just shoot the white paint into this and let it bounce everywhere. So let's see if I have enough. Well, this. Where did this land me? Landed me here. Caution, watch your step, and then we walk up to the caution, watch your step part, which I could see people just getting stuck on that point. Just not understanding you can walk up. Good. Oh, and here's our favorite little place. Let's introduce a dark surface that for some reason, out of the entire game, does not have, does not follow the rest of the mechanical rules of the game. Why not? This might be a room that is actually bigger on the inside and not physically possible. It's a pretty big room. It has a lot of elements in it too. This is might win the award for the busiest area of them all. Just stuff going everywhere. Well, why am I not making that? Is there someplace higher I'm supposed to be jumping from? That should have made it. Every indication. Alright. This over here should make it, and this is as tall as high as I can get. So why? Maybe I need to jump. Still don't like the fact I can't jump over. Let's see, as high as we can go. Can we go higher? No. Jump. It is. It's bouncing. It's hitting me. Oh. Not supposed to go all the way to the left, you're supposed to be somewhere in the middle. spool. The game is irritating me on purpose now. Jump and down and better work this time.
That poster. Go look at it for a second, would you? Paradoxes. No AI can resist thinking about them. I know how we can beat him.
Maybe we could have just left the white gel to cause enough cancer in Wheatley and killed him that way. But we are under a time constraint. He is blowing up the entire facility as we speak.
If you can get me in front of him, I'll fry every circuit in that little idiot's head. As long as I don't listen to what I'm saying, I should be okay. Probably.
So this is the end of the story for Cave Johnson and Carolyn until the end of the game. Says 03.
Okay, so it's Lothrom's watertight plan to go
Is that 2003?
AI with. Still, it's a better plan than
This was built
exploding.
in?
Marginally.
Well, if this floor was built on 2003 and Portal 1 happened in the year it was released of 2007, then yeah, I guess that would line up pretty well. Alright, so we're at chapter 8, and that is enough for this episode. So, as always, I ask that you like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of the video. We talked about a lot of things this episode, and I don't remember any of them, so whatever. But if you remember what I said and want to add your input, give me a comment. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, follow or friend me on those things. All that information is down in the notes. We are done. Have a good evening.